welcome here or welcome back to day 19 of the Road to 2000 ELO, guys. Currently sitting at a 1563. All-time peak is 1575, so we're very close to it. And on the road to 1600, and of course, the road to 2000. Now here we see D4, D5, so I'll play knight C3. Guys, 69 subscribers. Do I just end the channel now, or do we keep going? Because it seems like a pretty good place to stop. All right, so bishop f4. And by the way, guys, you guys are crushing. I mean, everyone is engaging and subscribing. I mean, it's been so awesome. You guys are making my dream a reality. So I appreciate each and every one of you that stays tuned to the videos. So we see c5. So I'm going to play e3 here, expecting probably e6. He might take as well is also a possibility here. But generally, they don't usually take. Sometimes they can. Let's see what he does here. Wow. So he actually comes out with the bishop still. So first idea is obviously knight to b5, which has to be pretty good. We're going to go knight b5 here. Obviously protected by the bishop. So again, this check on queen a5 doesn't do anything other than help me to develop, which I'm always okay to do. So he plays knight a6. So just protecting me from getting into this the c7 square, which is totally logical. We're going to go with c3 here, opening up room to go back with the bishop if I ever want to come out this way. If you play this, I play this, which just secures my knight into the position because this blocks off the path of my bishop seeing it, which currently protects the piece. So a4 would come after that, but expecting more so something like e6 for development and getting his bishop out to maybe e7 to develop and then going castles. Seems to make a logical sense. And in this position, I think I'm still going to do the pawn storm, and my king will hide on f2 after all the madness of the pawns start going. This will really throw him off, and aggressive chess is often going to scare opponents, especially in this rating range. And this is really a solid opening still. My king is very safe on f2, so we'll play king f2 after we do the entire pawn storm, and this is kind of the plan. Okay, so that changes the plan actually, because now he goes back with the bishop, indicating he would just like to take it. I'm going to play a4 here, and now I need to decide, do I want to take with the bishop or take with the pawn? See, I think taking with the pawn is better, because, for example, takes, knight only has this square or this square. Usually it'll go to this square for just kind of a more active square, and it's protected by the queen, so the bishop cannot take it. But then after you go there, then I push the pawn. If you take, I take your rook, you take my rook, and then I take your knight for free. So this is a very little tactical error that I've hit a few times that definitely works a lot. So now he locks his bishop in. All right, so then in that case, we just go standard development plans. We're going to go bishop d3. If you go c4, I go c2 with the bishop, and that's also going to open the door for me to play e4 and have that be a bit of a stronger move, creating a weakness on c4 because your pawn's a little bit overextended as well. So on c4, bishop c2, at any point we might see takes. This could happen at literally any point. Okay, yeah, so again, calling it out. Bishop c2 here now. You can take the bishop, but again, I still take with the pawn. Pawn is safe. Okay, so pawn takes. Rook and the knight hit the knight, so knight has to go back. That is a little bit of a tactical error. So like we talked about, guys, if I go now b6, it looks like I'm sacking a pawn because you take, I take, and you take and you're up a pawn, but then you lose a knight at the end of it. So b6 is the way here to win a material if you're not careful and you just snap take. But you kind of have to take at the same time. I mean, you can go, like, where does your knight even go? There's no squares. I guess it can come right back. I suppose. Yeah, okay. Okay, this actually works. You could come here, or maybe even here. Okay, but instead he decides to go this line, which is a mistake because now I take the rook. And after the rook trade, oh, okay, so you can take with the knight. Okay, so you're up a pawn, but that pawn is this one. It's not going to be easy to hang on to. So we're going to play first here, castles, maybe queen e2 first as well. I'd like to go for this e4 push, and I'm going to have a lot of weaknesses to play with, which is the idea. I think I'm going to start off with queen here, looking at the push, castle. Sure, that's definitely an option. Am I okay with the doubled pawns on the f file? Honestly, that's not such a bad idea. Knight could plant there. G3 could always come. I'm actually just going to play queen e2. Take, I take. I'm going to open up the file for the queen and for the rook when the rook comes to e1 as well. And I can always look at potentially f5 as a move as well, especially while the king is still there. So here he does not take. Okay, I'm gonna castle as well. Okay, so now we see takes. He couldn't handle holding on or letting that pawn stay there any longer. So now I'm expecting probably just rook e8, just getting the queen, getting the rook in the same line as the queen. Common thing to see. Or you can of course come back. I want to start making threats against this piece, or these pieces I should say, to pick those up. So maybe rook a1, or I'm looking at knight e5, but I feel like the knight's not doing tons there at the moment. f5, you could come here, takes. There's also g3 as an option. I'm gonna start with rook e1. Rook e1's just a solid move. Rook can always rotate to this other side as well if I need to. It could also come over here. But right now, I think starting off with this rook e1 is totally okay. Potentially looking at f5 as the break in the position and taking and then weakening this pawn, because if you take with the knight, which likely you would, that would be a weakness. And I have two weaknesses over here already. So I'm down a pawn, but the pawn should be easily won back. This pawn is a weakness for me, but I mean g3 protects it so easily. So now, yeah, here he plays that, so I'll just play g3, and this pawn is now fully safe, and I have aloof for my king at the same time to go king g2 if I want. Knight can still come into e5 at this point. So you're up a pawn, but you're not able to really do a whole lot with it. And I should be able to, yeah, again, to consolidate it. So he's coming here. Now his indication is to go for b4. So I could rotate the attack. I could also go f5. f5 you push though, maybe. Okay, f5. If you take, there's not really any threat. Maybe just knight e5 as well. But then I'm ignoring potentially going b4. b4 is his idea. Bishop b1. Bishop e1 here, it does line up a battery, but the battery doesn't work because the knight is there blocking it for the moment. So that doesn't exactly help. Well, I can also just strike b4 myself, and if you take, I take. And I'm going to play that. So b4, you take en passant, then I'll just take, and I think that loses the pawn. See, this is why I need to calculate more. You take en passant, and then I take, and then you take my pawn, and my bishop is attacked. I have to move it. So yeah, this is just miscalculations, really, just miscalculations. And that's what I do. That's what I do. This should be this should have been so much clearer than that. I mean, something else is definitely better. That takes. Oh no, the pawn is gone. Okay, so never mind. Kind of an idea of what I thought. This pawn is still a little light. Okay, so now he jumps in with the knight, and the target is this pawn on c3. Queen could defend it like this, or like this, or like this. I think I like this because of the idea of bringing the bishop here. Here he has this and this. So yeah, this queen b2 actually, and then I'll go bishop c2. If you move the knight, I can come bishop d3 and try and go after these pawns now. This is the way. This has got to be the way. Okay, so he comes in with the rook. Interesting. Rook could come here, going after this pawn. But if I start with bishop here, then rook there does not make sense because rook there, I take the knight. But bishop here, this opens up the door for this, but no, the knight covers that. So bishop c2. Bishop c2, rook no longer has the infiltration squares. It can come here, but it's not that useful. But it can't come here or here. Knight can't come here, so everything is restricted. Threat is to go takes, and win a pawn. Knight again can still always come into e5 as an option, and I'm looking at that option always. Wow, okay, so he just takes. Okay, so what's the threat here? If I take, you have this, and so takes, and you have this, and you can win the knight. That's the idea. Does that actually work though? Okay, so here that works. Yeah, fortunately it does. Here and just this, but this. Okay, wait, hold on. This. Do you have this? Okay, queen comes back. No, we're okay here. We're okay. Rook comes in, but I have bishop b3 here. Bishop b3, pinning my bishop, and then we have we saw this. Now there is okay, so I need to decide this or this. I think maybe the c file, and then looking at rook c1 as well. So we'll go queen c2. So the sacrifice for him did not work. He comes in with the, you can't come with the knight because you're getting back ranked. Got to be careful that the rook is looking at this unprotected knight. Got to be careful of that. Rook c1 though. Okay, so but check. You have queen blocks. Takes. Yeah, check here. Bishop here to protect the knight would be the only move, or I could go rook here as well. I mean, that does not look very promising. Knight's threatening to go here or take the pawn. The pawn is not free because the knight covers it. Knight can also come, so here or here, the only squares for it at the moment. What is my counter attack? Maybe I go knight e5, but knight e5 loses to knight d4. Then I lose the pawn. Rook could cover that. Rook d1? Like, is there a threat of this? Like, so this, he's now infiltrating the position. He has this square and this square there, and this square and this square, but those are all covered by my pieces, so that's not a huge threat. It's not a huge threat. I can also just play king g2, just protecting the knight, and then I can move the bishop away. I could play here. You take my knight, I take yours type of deal. Potential idea. Just need to make a decision. There's also f5. Oddly enough, in this position, f5. If you push, I can take with the pawn. No, if you push, I take with the rook, and I'm threatening back rank stuff, and I'm also infiltrating. f5. f5. If you take, I mate you, so you cannot take. f5. If you push, I take. Oddly, this seems pretty good. Potentially, I'm creating a weakness. If you just leave it alone, I'm creating a weakness on the e6 square as well. So f5 here. f5. Interesting move. Okay, so you do play knight here, which I find interesting because what's your follow-up exactly? You can't come to either of these two squares. I suppose you can. If you give me a check, no, here I take with the rook, right? So you give me a check, I take with the rook. Here is taken by the rook. Here is taken by the queen. Here is taken by the bishop. So, but this would be a trade, right? This and this. I think I just take on this pawn here. I'm gonna take here. Okay. This would be a mate threat, to which you would need to play this. Okay, wait, this, but if you play this, I give you a check, you can run, but then I take. And this, if you play this, I take with the rook. That's, okay, that's very interesting. Knight here, knight g5. Knight g5, very interesting idea. I'm hitting this pawn with the rook and the knight. And also, I'm threatening a check that wins a pawn over here, so you need to address that and play g6. But what is it missing? What is it missing? Takes, always. I think just knight g5. Knight g5 here. This has to be... And he just resigns. Okay. I guess he saw this idea. Very interesting. All right. Wow, I thought I was lost in a lot of for most of this game, and for some of it, it looks like I was definitely down material. But I played like a 86.7 or with an 86.7. Opponent played with an 81.6, and so yeah, here knight b5. It also says I can take the c pawn, c3, a4. Good moves all around. And so this idea not exactly working. Better idea is even just to play this. Okay. Go here. But I feel like my bishop's kind of stuck there, no? Just normal development after, but I guess it works. Okay, so here I push and takes. And, ooh, check. That's the key idea. Give this check. You have to move. And queen here with threats of going check here. Is that the idea? No, the queen just escapes. Oh, okay, set up this this little one here. Okay, interesting. All right, I went knight f3. It loses the advantage, and now suddenly he's up material, or he's up the advantage. Takes, go rook e1, g3, and so this is not really too clever of an idea. But I go back, and suddenly this tactic does not work for him because I find the way to save it. Go back to this. f5, I can't, man, I am surprised I found this idea of f5. Takes, and knight g5. That is crazy that I found this idea. Awesome move. And that leads to a resignation. That's how strong the idea is, because you have to play this, which is the best move, but then I take with the rook. And now suddenly my pieces are getting into the game like crazy. Is there some kind of, there's no check. There's nothing here yet, but likely it would come. So anyways, awesome game. And with that being said, let's move on to game number 2. All right, game number 2 here, going up against from the UK, and Lefink is playing the English Opening. All right, game number 2 here, and once again we've got the white. Okay. All right, game number 2 here, and once again we've got the white pieces going up against from Lithuania, and he's a 1600 rated opponent. I'm not sure if I've beaten a 1600 yet. I think I have, but no, I have. We get the normal position here, so let's get it started. I want to get, if I get this win here, guys, it's +9. And it would put me at 1580, which is a peak. So here when they play this, we're happy to take. 1580 would be a peak and puts us very, very close to that 1600 that I'm so craving at this point. I'm ready for it. So bishop d3, probably castles. We'll go knight f3 and castle. Okay, so that works too. Knight f3, and then probably castles is what we'll see. Okay, so he is going for the queenside pawn storm. Not sure if I'm exactly worried about this. I'm gonna go. I think I'm gonna go this way because that's part of the plan, anyways. Play c3 in castle. So we're gonna go knight e2, c3, maybe a3 at some moment as well, just stopping his ideas. Castle. He will too. So now a castle as well. I'll look at c3, and this is always an idea. This is obviously an idea. Your bishop is a bad bishop, so his bishop is not very good. It's going to be poorly placed. It can come out this way, but yeah, and so knight there as well. So here I'll go c3. If you go a5, I go a3, just stopping the b4 ideas immediately. So he jumps in with the knight. Okay, interesting. If I go queen d2, you play f5. That's probably what's gonna happen if I play queen d2. And if I go here, you take and my pawns are a little bit ugly around my king, and that's also not exactly ideal. Knight e5 though, you can play this, and eventually you could kick my knight, but then you're weakening this e pawn as well. So knight e5 threatening this seems okay. Or I could just go bishop takes here, knight here, but then f5 once again is an annoying move. Again, we'll start off with knight e5. It's part of the plan. This knight's not really scaring anybody. I can kick it with f3 if I'd like to as well, and just stopping his ideas of going with this f5 push. Yeah, so taking makes sense, and now I take back, and I can either go f3 or I can also go f4. Just ignoring his knight. I'm expecting f5. If f5, I for sure will go f4. Okay, so yeah, f5. So here I was thinking just f4. Now my bishop is suddenly not the best piece either in terms of where it's at. And so do I kick the knight? Where can the knight go? Knight can go here, here, or it can come back here, 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 or here. So the only safe square for the knight would be there. So if I play h4, it loses a pawn. Okay, that doesn't work. I'd like to be able for that to work, but it does not work. But sneaky idea could be queen here. Queen c1 and f3. The only square you have for that knight is that square right there. But the queen protects it. Dang it. Okay. So it doesn't work. So maybe just f4. Just f4, and I think that's what we're going to play. We're going to go f4 here. Your knight has a home here for now, but not for too much longer. I might go queen e1, looking at this, trying to trade off that that knight, but you always just have takes, and that's annoying because that center you have built up there is quite annoying. He might look at something like h6 and going for g5. And I don't have this because of the queen is right here. So okay, so he goes there. If I go a3 and you push, I can take, and take. That seems reasonable. We're gonna go a3. A3 makes sense. You push, I take, and take. And I have the open file now. I have a weak pawn sitting on b4. Okay, so bishop here, just developing his pieces. Interesting. So queen e1 just shifts the attack this way. And that's what I'd like to do. I'd like to shift the attack this way, but also have the rook f3 idea as well. And the whole idea is just go for the king. Go for the king. I'm gonna start with queen e1. Queen e1. Honestly, going here and actually taking and pawn takes and just playing bishop here, like this pawn's like, sure, it's in my zone, but I don't think it's ever gonna go anywhere in all reality. Okay, so he goes there. Do I have b4? B4, pawn is protected, so takes, and this pawn is protected only for the moment though. I think just maybe g3. So yeah, now if he pushes takes, and takes, this pawn is loose. So maybe b4 is the right play here, or taking and then b4 is an idea. Yeah, we're going to play this. We're going to take and then play b4 for ourselves, and this pawn is going to be protected for the moment by the knight and the queen. Get this pawn here with your f, but I can always push this as well in the future. Start off with b4 though. Actually I take with the b pawn, and my only weak pawn is this d pawn, the d4 pawn. Okay, so now yeah, takes here, and okay, so now this is the weak pawn, but how do you target it? Hard to really say, it seems like. Now, ideally, I'd like to play this push. So, but the bishop is the bishop is there right now. So even this, it still doesn't work. But that push is key. And also, there's this c pawn. He goes rook there. He wants to double up the rooks onto this file. That's the idea. Queen c3, rook here. I think just queen c3 here. And after rook here, knight g2, knight g3, I can potentially push, right? Because this is not a threat. right? Takes, take. If you take, I take, you take, and I take. So everything's safe there. But with that being said, knight g3 and f5 is a move. And I do like the prospects of it. So we're going to go knight g3. f5 is the idea here. Plans to break through the position. And also this pawn is hit as well. We do get some kind of trade going on if I break through and I trade the bishop. So for example, he plays that, f5. Okay, so he sees my ideas of f5 and he says no. He does not like my f5 idea. Okay, next idea, here, queen trade. But problem with the idea, this pawn. And then this pawn as well, because here, you've got two passers. How do I stop them? Okay, so need a reroute of the plan. Knight here, g4, knight back. Oh, jeepers. All right, potential for that plan. Okay, we'll start off with knight back. The knight has no prospects on g3. So knight back is going to be the starting point. g4 is an idea, but I'm wondering if you just have like this or this, like you come in line with the rook. And okay, so he goes queen or king there. g4, if you go here, for example, here, I would need the knight behind it as well, maybe even the queen. But g4, I think, is honestly going to be the way here. g4. I think this is the way. I can support it with h3. I can support it with h3. g4, knight g3. Maybe even queen g3. Oh, queen g3 push. If you take. Yeah, queen g3 push. Takes, pawn is pinned. If you take with the bishop, that's also pinned. So queen g3 also is an idea here because you've put your king here. Okay, so he goes there. Interesting. Okay, so threat is to win the g pawn. If I go here and we trade, then you take and I'm losing. Okay, but here you take with check. That's the problem. It's a check. Shoot. Okay, so h3 you take. Oh no, h3 is protected by the queen, so h3's got to be the move here. h3, no checks, no takes, no checks, and no takes. h3, okay, all good. King h2, rook g1, maybe instead of going, instead of bringing the queen there. See, you're kind of running out of attack. Okay, so you play this, and that seems wrong because of this, right? Here, so here. I'm breaking through the position. My king is wide open though, but it's safe for the moment. Here. You cannot take. If you push, I could take, check. Or I just leave it and I play knight g3. Knight g3 loses the pawn though. That doesn't work. Or I play king h2. King h2 does not lose the pawn. King h2 allows me to bring in my rook or my knight. So king h2. I think this has got to be the way. Playing this would have been really messy, I think. So now after takes, I need to make a decision on what I want to take back with. Probably the rook, I would think. There's also the knight, which is definitely doing a lot more there than it is on e2. So that's something to consider. So for example, here, knight has a check here. King goes back or back. I would have to be back this way, but then I get here. Okay, yeah. So this is the idea. Here. Knight can come here, and I've got a very well placed knight hitting the bishop, and then I'm hitting this pawn at the end of it too. Okay, wow, interesting move there. e5. Okay, opponent's really making me think. Okay, so what about just rook g1? Rook g1 still, if you take, I take here, but if you take, I take here, and that's colossal. So you cannot really take it. So rook g1, this has to be the way. Taking, you take, and then I could play rook g1, but I may as well just play rook g1 first, and this looks pretty good. Now I'm in line with the king. You have checks, but king h1, no, just here. I gotta protect the knight. So here. Oh, that would be tricky. Here, and he comes here, trying to get me to trade and then fork my knight and rook together. That would be a tricky idea. But we would not trade the queens, but rather probably just step back like this, or actually probably like this instead, because then I have this and keeping an eye on this. Always want to keep an eye on this c pawn. I don't want it going anywhere. Okay, so we see takes. So obviously I can take like this with check, and if I take like this with check, queen takes, and then knight takes with tempo. So here, let's calculate this. Well, first of all, I could also just take here, right? This is also an idea. But first, let's see. So check. He takes. I take with this. You do not have a check here. So queen has to go elsewhere. Yeah, because queen is here, so queen can't come here for check. It could come here, but that doesn't really make sense. So this actually seems like the way. So check. Check here. Pick up the pawn like this. You actually can't even take the pawn because you need to protect your king. And then I can take this and protect the pawn. But I can't take it actually because queen is going to still be here. So king there. So now I think probably rook here. But rook here you have check. And if I come back, okay, I can also play this. Now this pawn is annoying. See, now I think I've potentially screwed myself here. So taking here is probably better first. Yeah, taking here was better first, I think. Because now it's unclear. How do I progress? How do I progress? Like here loses the pawn. Hits my queen, so that's terrible. Queen trade also loses the pawn. But here, takes, and takes. I have takes, the very least. And you've got 5 pawns, and I have 5 pawns, but some of them are messy. And you're coming at my king. How do I play this? How do I play this? This, you have this check, which is an obnoxious check. Maybe I need to play this, protecting the knight, and then I can play this. But this is also uncomfortable. I have rook f1 here as well, but this also slightly annoying. How do I play this? How do I play this? How do I play this? F1, I think, has got to be the move. So rook f1 here. Here takes. No, knight, you can't take. So rook f1. I mean, this is I can't think too long. I have to play. I have increment, so that's good. This is the threat. This is going to happen. 100%. 100%. This is the move for him. F3. But I've stopped the infiltration square of the queen. Also, knight does not necessarily need to move if he plays this, because it is pinned to the king, so it cannot take me. King there. He waited a long time and he played that. Really? He's going to give me this pawn? I can take with the rook as well. I also have checks here. But first I take with the rook. And then I give that check. Wow, I'm very surprised. Very surprised at that. So we're going to take with the rook, right? I mean, I'm very surprised with that move. He took a while to think, and he played here. And I think for sure his best move was to play f2 with the pawn, or f3. And that seems very wrong. Okay, and then he plays that. So I have check. Check. King can either come here or here. If you go here, then I give this check, and you go here, and I trade the rook. And that's already amazing. But check if you go here, then honestly it's the exact same thing. And then it's mate. So first of all, check has to be the move. Check has got to be the move here. Need to be very careful about this. Okay, so first I play this, I think, because my knight is hanging. My knight is hanging. So if I play, wait, but first hold on. Check, he comes here. Check. I suppose you can also block with the bishop. Check, you block with the bishop. Protected by the queen as well. But then check. Maybe I just don't mess around and I first play this. Make sure that my knight is not hanging. Queen has no checks. Queen has to leave. Yeah, this is just a little in-between move. And then there should be some kind of something. There should be something here. There should definitely be something here. Queen is hit, so you can't take this. So I take. Okay, so rook there. And I can get a queen trade here and a rook trade, but that kind of doesn't seem like the right way to go about this. I think just getting the rook trade is fine. So I'm going to give this check. Protected by the queen. King's only move is here, but then I have check. I have check here. You could come here, but then you lose your bishop. So check, he comes here. Hold on, check here, takes, and takes the bishop. So this is winning. Check. King here. Only move, otherwise you just lose your bishop with check. So then takes, rook takes, and I get the bishop. And a long game of fighting has finally given me something to work with here. I've got 1:43 on the clock, but I get 10 seconds every move, so that's going to be helpful. Now, the last thing to worry about is this pawn, and obviously the safety of my king. You have checks here, so, and do I need to be wary of that? So takes and check here. I mean, at the worst, it's a draw, but my plan would be, okay, so yeah, he plays that. So king has one of two options, h1 or there. I'm going to go g1, but g1 runs into the bishop, the rook coming in with the pin, which is a bit annoying. We'll go here so that I can play rook g1 when the rook comes. I need to play a little bit of defense here. A little bit of defense. Pawn, though. I can always sack the knight. So he comes there. Okay, so that's a direct threat on the king. Protects the pawn. Pawn protected. Pawn is protected. Pass pawn created as well. We cocoon. Now we cocoon. Rook g1. Queen can come here. We just need a cocoon. Okay, so he takes that. That's fine. So any kind of way to queen trade would be nice. But I don't see a way to do so currently. So we'll start with this. Okay, start with rook g1. Cocoon a little bit. You can play here. Sure. You can't play that. No. Doesn't work. Queen here, pushing. Minute on the clock. Okay, if you ever push, I just take. Right. Okay, we go here. Cannot push because I take for free at the moment. This check is protected as well by the queen. Minute on the clock, but we've got increment. We've got increment. Check's also protected by this, I guess. So queen there. Okay, idea to play this. I'm going to sack my knight. I don't even need to. I can play this. Play this. If you queen, I take. But then, no, I can't do that because I lose the pawn. Okay. Just sack. Okay, we'll go rook here, king here on check. Push, I have check. Okay, so there's that. We're going to push. Now protecting this, which is awesome. There's no checks here. So now king can leave that square. Queen can come here. Rook here's a move as well. Finds that. Okay, I have checks and I trade queens. But what does that really do? It doesn't seem to do much at all. Okay, I think this is a draw. Okay, we go with this pawn. We go with this pawn. This pawn wants to go as well. We'll take here, bring the king. This is a draw. 100% a draw. 100%. As long as I don't blunder. So here I could go, but I can also go here. If you check, I go here. Takes, takes. If you push, I have this. And so this is good. Okay, so then here I have check. King here. That's honestly pretty nice. Now I can go here and stop your king. Okay. No way. No way this is happening. No way this is happening. No way this is happening, man. Oh, wow. Oh, man. I was totally winning. 100%. 100% I was winning. And I threw it away. Yeah, I was winning. Played with a 67.8. Opponent played with a 75.6. I mean, this is very interesting. Okay, f3 is better. Kick the knight. But I just thought he goes back here. Can I also go h4 here? Probably, but then I have to protect with queen e1. Okay, so that works, I guess. Okay, I went there. Queen e1, take. g4, he finds that. Okay, I go here. Instead, I'm supposed to take. Okay, so it says go here, but then this, I thought maybe here. Oh wow, my queen is protected. Why wouldn't you just trade queens? Because you're mated. That's how bad it is. Oh my goodness. So this was the idea. Go there. You come here. I block. Okay. Anyways, this worked. I'm still in a winning position. Checks there is a mistake. Checks there is also an inaccuracy. Blunder. Mistake again. Blunder because of takes. I take there, I go back. Okay, I find this. Completely winning again. Push. And I just can come back. I can just come back. Oh, it's a check too. This is a check. Come here, protecting this. And now I can oh no, that loses. I cannot do that. Now I can come here, protect the pawn again. You come back. It's just a draw. Anyways, I'm rambling. Sorry guys. Tough game. Tough game. And that's just the way it goes. We cannot get to that past that peak at the moment, but we're gonna get there. Thanks for watching, guys. If you like the video, click over here to watch the next one. And with that being said, we'll see you guys tomorrow.